Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, all. Thank you so much for joining us. It's me, Danielle, the Crystal Healing Mama, here with my good old friend, Miss Malika Salami, the Chanting Queen.
Hello, Danielle. I'm so glad that we're joining. I'm just going to set up the chat so we can see if we have anyone coming in. Thank you for having me again. I always love to talk to you.
I know, we always have such good conversations. I just figured I'm burning some Palo for both of us, some Palo Santo, clear the space. I don't know where my tablet went, so I can't see the chat. So Malika will have to handle that for us.
That is okay.
We have both been feeling lately that we're working through those freaking sister wounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Right?
But I like how we can receive it now with a different light, or with a different understanding, or different acceptance, receiving. I don't know. I don't want to say with love, but maybe a little love.
More so. Yeah.
But there's definitely that wanting to move things differently, or not to be receiving the same way, that shift.
Yes, so much. I remember like the previous me, the me before like my growth and my self-work that I've done, any hint of a sister wound would have me in like agonizing like panic and anxiety, and just like I would just be a sobbing freaking mess. Like I wouldn't be able to focus on anything else. It would be freaking ruining my existence to me in that time, right? Whereas now when it's coming up for me, I'm having this sister wound with a woman who was my best friend for like a really freaking long time. And like, she's almost one of the ones that like really cemented that sister wound in my life, and that not the greatest friendship and relationship. And like where I allowed I had no boundaries, and I allowed myself to be taken advantage of, and I allowed that sister wound to just flourish. And I just kind of like pushed it to the back because I didn't recognize that I was worth healthier relationships. You know, I didn't think that there was a possibility of having healthier relationships. I didn't think that I was worth having those healthy relationships. I thought, well, this is what I have, so this is what I got. You know?
And it resonates a lot with me, what you say, because I feel like I've been walked all over for so many years, and I'm now in my 40s, and I'm finally, feeling more comfortable. I've been doing this for a little while, but it's a work in progress. It's not like suddenly you become good at something. You have to practice. But like we get those tests, I call them tests, that are coming from the universe. Like, oh, let's see if you learned something. I'll throw you something, and let's see if you're going to receive it the same way, if you're going to process it the same way. How much freaking time are you going to spend processing it, and how much drain are you going to be after processing it? Right? Like, just to figure out if we have gathered the tools, but if we're able to use them now to receive in a different light. And I think that it's important to gather that light, the fact that it's different. Can we find compassion? Can we read through the lines? Between the lines?
Can we not take it so personally? Can we not take it so personally and understand that when somebody has a problem with us, it's generally not actually about us. It's a problem that they're dealing with themselves, but they're projecting that out onto others and taking out their anger and their feelings towards themselves on other people. And being able to acknowledge that and accept that, and like send them love and compassion, and like actually like have a little bit of gratitude for that communication, because it allows us to recognize how far that we've come.
Don't you think it's crazy though that sometimes we see so many competitions, so many insecurities that come out of women, and a lot of lower backstabbing happening. I'm still healing. I think I'm pretty much done, but I'm close to be done. But like one of the biggest backstabbing in my entire life that took me back as like I couldn't, when this happened, I'm not going to share details here, but when this happened, I was like, how could somebody do this to someone? Like at some point I was like, but it wasn't about me, right? It's like understanding that the wounds that this person is giving to me is not just even from her, it's from her own lineage, it's our own ancestors. And it's like, how many generations of trauma are we bringing to our sister wounds? Because at some point it shouldn't be that hurtful. We shouldn't be like constantly feeling like we're in competition, because there's no competition. There's enough people to heal in the whole world. There's enough love to give. There's an abundance of moolah, like my coach would say. There's moolah for everyone. There's like everything for everyone. So why carrying this? Why do we do this? Tell me why.
Tell me why. Girl, like, for the history of humanity, we women have been like pinned against each other, right? The ruling class knows that women, when we fucking gather, are fucking unstoppable. So what have they created? They've created a society where women compete over fucking everything. We compete over friendships. We compete over men. Oh, they get us to go at each other over men constantly, especially nowadays with social media and so much out there. Like, but it's really like ingrained into us that we are not allowed to be safe with other women, right? Because these women, like, okay, let's like step back. Let's go back in history. Okay. So if we go back into history, the one point in time that's really standing out for me right now in this all was like the witch trials, right? Back between like the 1500s all the way through the 1800s and even into the early 1900s. Like, women weren't treated very nicely. We were property, right? So that right there, we didn't have that compassion. We didn't have that feeling of safety. So we were already in that fight or flight. And then they bring in the witch trials. And if you point a finger at a woman, she's a witch, you were taken at your word regardless, because, you know, they just wanted someone to burn. So that, like, so many women that were feeling scared, that were hurt, that were being hurt. When we feel that hurt and that scarcity inside, we want to put that on somebody else. Doesn't feel comfortable to make that ours. We want to make it somebody else's fucking problem.
I feel like this is where the dysfunction comes from. That dysfunctional reasoning, that dysfunctional communication. Like, I see it more and more, probably because I'm doing it less and less. And I see it more and more. And I'm wondering, like, when did we learn to always find the faults on others? When did we forget to take accountability for our own standards, from our own boundaries that we haven't set properly?
I've got an answer.
Tell me.
At this, like, in history, our faults were our weakness. Our faults meant death in some cases, right? Being open and honest and authentic with ourselves meant we were brutalized. We were, you know, noticed out of the group. It meant death, right? So like our human selves are like, what the fuck are you doing? And most people can't acknowledge that because they have so much trauma and blockages and everything all on top of each other. You can't possibly see. You can't see Exactly.
layers.
So many layers holding us back from our divine selves within. And it's only once you start peeling back those layers that you're able to see the truth, right? See the whole truth versus just focusing on that physical truth, right? Because so many women, it was, yeah, you were singled out if you were different, if you were yourself, if you spoke your mind. Like, think about it. Women then, they were fucking property. If you spoke your mind to your
They
husband.
still are in some countries. There still
Exactly.
are property, and they're being executed, and it's very horrible. The chat is quite active. We got Onyx, Gypsy Mama, Justin, the Intuitive Alchemist. We've got Keith that joined us.
Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah, and then my dog is barking from the bedroom because he wants to come to the party, and now he's probably waking up my son. So I'm really sorry, but I'm gonna have to go open the door. I'll be right back. So
That's
sorry.
Okay. Hi all. I can't see your comments. Sorry guys. I don't know where I put my tablet. And then just before we were hopping on, I was like last minute trying to get my baby to sleep, and he just wouldn't sleep. So I had to pass him off to his dad.
Mama's at work. Mama's at work.
Right? Exactly. Mom is at work. So the tablet got left behind, but we're here.
We got Gypsy Mamas here that said, yes, when we do the work, we can see more clearly where others are being at the work. And that's exactly it for me, because I'm in a major transition right now. Like, I have like a lot of ascension symptoms. It's not in my hips anymore. It's not in my ears anymore. Now it's in my ribs. Seriously, it's so weird.
Your power.
I don't know what's going on. It's just so weird. So when we do like that work, when you start really having that intentional practice, that's when we start reacting or receiving in a different way. And this is the work. This is the work at work. This is like me stepping into it, showing up different ways of communicating to my son, because he observes me. He's with me a lot. When he's with me, we're 24/7 together.
Yeah.
And then also how I stand with my clients, with my, like, everything is starting to happen. There's just so many tests that are showing me that I need to step in my power and either say fuck the bullshit, I'm out, or say no. Or like
boundary.
Yeah, but not as a blockage, as a standard, right? In my standards, I'm not accepting that a sister treats me like this. In my standards, I need to feel safe in all my relationships. Like those kinds of like affirmation that we need to stand behind, you know, not just say, but actually fucking do.
Yes.
And that's when the shifts happen. Otherwise, we're stuck in the dysfunction.
Exactly. Like, we're creating our external reality, right? We're doing that internal work. We're recognizing our worth. We're realizing what we do and don't want in our life. And we are recognizing that we are allowed to stand and stay in those connections that feel good. And we are allowed to walk away from those connections that don't feel good anymore.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like giving ourselves permission. I remember like years ago, I was with an amazing therapist, an amazing social worker I was working with my anxiety. And I think that felt like she gave me the permission to stop hanging out with someone. And it's like, why didn't I give myself that permission? That's where I was at the time, and I'm okay with it. But why did I need my therapist's permission to stop hanging out with somebody who was giving me anxiety all the time?
Right?
Like, why did I need that exterior validation to set a certain boundary for my well-being? That speaks a lot about my self-worth and what I think I deserve to be around. I mean, obviously that's the past, but like being able to talk about it now and accepting that that's where I was, but that I don't want to be there anymore, right? And that we need, like you told me that recently, quality over quantity. How many freaking friends do we need? How many sisters do we need? Seriously. I mean, I want to say all the women of the world are my sisters, but like close friend that you can open up and be 100% yourself, be vulnerable with, share that deep, whatever it is with. Like, we know who these people are, and we need to nurture these relationships, right?
Yes.
And then
And the thing is like when we are focusing on the number of relations and connections that we have, and when we are allowing those not so nice connections in our life, we're coming from a place of lack, right? We're not coming from a place of open-hearted love and acceptance of ourselves, our own emotions, and other people's, right? We're coming from that place of lack. We're coming from I need to have friends, right?
Gypsy Mama was saying something interesting here. Well, lots of people are saying something interesting, but she says because we are taught in society that we are selfish for setting boundaries. It's so backward, and it is backward, but like this is our job though. And we are already doing the work because we're talking about this.
Yep.
And then, so this is our job in this generation, in this time in life, in history, right now. Isn't it amazing to see everyone opening up to that transformation, that rising up, the frequency, right? And then it might be just because this is the people that we gather around us, and we think it's the whole world. Everyone is changing.
Because we're shifting our external reality.
Exactly. So we attract what we are and what we want to be. We start hanging out with the people that we look up to. We start attracting that kind of fire in our life. And this is when we start shifting our vibration, that frequency up to here, to attract all the good shit. It's right here. Right here.
Justin and Tanya were saying that earlier in their live that they did into the Alchemists and Gypsy Mama. They were talking about the people that we have, the connections in our lives, right? Like now is the time that we're like, let's allow ourselves to step into those relationships that feel good and back out of those that don't. And the thing is, we need to recognize and understand that in order to back out of a relationship that no longer feels good, it doesn't always have to blow up.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have to be some huge, crazy ordeal. You don't have to be, you fucking hurt me, you said this, you did it. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. You can just slowly put less and less effort in. You can just like not reach out. Or
not justify yourself, not defend yourself, not have to have the last word. Like Ocean was saying, setting a healthy boundary is a beautiful act of self-love.
Yes.
It's like, I do not put up with that shit anymore. And I do not care. I want to speak my truth. Like the throat chakra, we're talking here. I want to speak my truth. I want to be listened to. I want to be validated in my experience, but I don't want to be attached to the outcome. And that for me is the scary part. That for me is when I sometimes go back here. And I'm completely honest. I'm still
with that one.
I'm still scared sometimes. But what if this person cuts me off? What if she does? What's gonna happen?
What's the worst that could possibly happen? That's a game I like to play. Okay, let's take a step back. What's honestly the worst that could happen? Okay, if that happened, what would I do?
It's a great way of like putting it, like maybe even journal about it. I said that in my membership live last month. Well, this month, I said, let's write the worst things that could happen if I speak my truth. Let's see if I set my boundary. What is the worst that can happen? Let's get it out now. Right?
And I feel a lot of the time, the worst thing that could happen for a lot of people is somebody not liking you.
Yeah.
And how fucked is that? How many billions of people are on this planet? Is every single person going to like you?
No. Are we attached? Where are we attached to it? Is it because we're Canadian? I'm so sorry. I'm Canadian. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. I apologize.
I just want to
No,
say
it's
something, but
true
I'm really
though. It's
sorry for
because
saying
I
it.
think again, this is like a deep, like it's way deeper than society now. This is if you lived in the days when it was a small, tight-knit community, you guys were living off the land, if you weren't liked by the community you were in, you were on your own, you were in the wild, and you were weak, and you were dead. Right? It's that deep, deep, just like wound of a human as it is, as a creature on this planet. That is one of those, like, the deep, like, base instinct wounds that are playing out in humanity now. And we need to recognize that, yes, those feelings are going to be there, but we are at a place now where we can see them, we can recognize them, we can give that part of ourselves love and say, oh, it's okay. We don't have to be like that anymore. We're at that heightened place where we're able to comprehend this, right? Like, we wouldn't have been able to 100, 200, however many years ago, we wouldn't have been able to understand that. And we weren't in a place where we were safe. But now we really are.
Yeah. Onyx said something, energetic traumas manifesting in our physical reality. We work to break the cycle to create healthy boundaries, standing in our power for our ancestors, and most importantly, for ourselves. Beautiful. Thank you so much. What a great, vibrant chat. I love it.
I'm upset that, well, I'm sad that I'm missing it, but I'll have to read it all through later.
Yeah.
I bet I'll have like the best tidbits going on there. But it's just that deep fucking wound. It's that deep fucking human wound that it's finally okay to release it. It's finally okay to tell yourself it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be authentic in your truth. It's okay to not be liked by everyone. That was a big one for me. I used to be like the biggest people pleaser. If I thought that, like, because I'm super empathic as well, right? So I would feel, even if somebody up front was all nice and sweet, I could feel what they were thinking and feeling underneath the surface. So, like, even those like small little things that I wouldn't regularly bother someone, like, they would fucking bother me. And the thing that I'm recognizing now, looking back, is this one friendship that I was talking about that just recently came up again. I'll actually get into detail about it a little bit more in a minute. Like, I actually don't mind just being like, what about it? Because honestly, you probably won't watch this. You'll find out more why. But I would feel the jealousy and the anger and like all these emotions of hers under the surface, but on her face, it was as if we were besties. We were awesome, but I could tell by like her energy. I could tell by her fucking energy. I remember when I told her that I was getting married to my husband, she didn't respond to me for a few days. That was the first one. Triggered. And she's like, oh, how great. And then she like, and it's funny how quickly they change the subject when there's something that they're jealous of you about, and they don't like, they quickly turn the subject about something about themselves. They don't want to talk about the good things that you're doing and the good things that are happening in your life, right? They want to focus on themselves.
This is all insecurities and projections, and we have to continue our work to be able to say that does not belong to us. You know, there's no victimization. Why is this person like this with me? And why is this person like this? That doesn't belong to us. Onyx was saying that. You know, what other people think of us is not ours to carry.
None of our business when anybody else thinks of us.
Yeah, but we need to get there though. And I think it's
Totally.
a journey. It's a journey of womb healing, sister healing. I mean, we're having a festival. Let's talk about this for a minute. We're hosting a festival on your beautiful land in in the forest somewhere in Saskatchewan. And there's 4 of us that are actually, we're all on the chat right now. Oh, the
Yay!
4 of us, women holding space for many, many women come in. We are expecting hundreds of women. And we really want to offer that space for the healing, not only our own healing, our sister healing, our ancestors healing, our mother wounds and womb healing, all of that. And that's something that resonates with us now because of what's happening in our lives, or what we can feel that we need to heal from our past, from other souls that we don't really identify with, like that are part of our past souls, but that don't necessarily, oh, I got a thumbs up, that
I just see
don't
that.
necessarily identify with, what if I put a heart? Is it going to show a heart? No, I had thumbs up. Sorry. Oh, it doesn't show on YouTube. I'm like the only one seeing the thumbs up.
I saw it too. I think it's in Zoom. I think that's
It's
a little
on the
message
Zoom.
from Spirit. You're on the right track.
Yeah. Yeah, so like we are recognizing these are areas that need some deep, deep healing, and we want to welcome women to have that courage and that it is actuality. This is now. This is our time to do this healing and to come together. And I think that for lots of us, it's scary because we've been hurt, we've been wounded, and we still are sometimes because we accept to be right because we're in charge of our feelings and the way we react and receive. But like as we come together, this is when we need to get to let that bullshit behind and really focus on our healing.
Right? We just have to stand in our authentic power unapologetically, right? We have to be able to stand and say, this is who I am. This is how I feel. This is what I think. And those that will resonate with us and those that will appreciate us for who and what we are will come freaking flocking. And those that will never accept us as we are will slowly walk out of your life. Sometimes it can be a bit messy, but it doesn't always have to be. And I find it gets messier when you don't allow them to make the exit. Right? Sometimes those relationships, yes, holding on. Sometimes you're like just holding on for dear life. Oh no, I don't want to let that go. Let's figure out how we can make this still work. But it's never going to work. If you can't just fucking flat out be you, it's not going to work in the end because they're not staying for you.
Why are we holding on? Why are we holding on to old friendships just because they're old? Because we shift. People shift. Sometimes you grow and the other person's not growing. It happens in couples too. Like, so why are we holding to the old? Why are we holding on to relationships that are not feeling good? Like, there are lots and lots of reasons why we do that, but ultimately we have to find within ourselves why we keep holding on, why we keep doing the things that don't feel good to us, right?
I think every relationship that we hold on to is just for a little bit different reason, right? But I feel like a lot of it is that we want to be liked, right? We want to be liked. We want to have people around us. We're like so afraid to be alone. And that's, again, that deep rooted ancestral wound of being afraid to be alone, because when you were alone, you were vulnerable and you were fucking eaten.
I feel that. I really resonate with what you say, because I think that I was afraid to be alone for the longest, especially with the isolation that happened in the last few years. But now that I'm alone and that I chose to live in a small town and work from home, then there's like this peace, but I needed to get there. So it does resonate with me what you say, that fear. It's because it's the unknown. And like, I'm an extrovert and I love to be alone. Why? Because I've learned to be there. I've learned to find contentment and joy in being alone. I also I'm people doubt a lot. I get people doubt. Like I just need, it's too much. Like people are weird and rude sometimes and stressed out and project all their shit on you because we're the light. We're like vibing here and they're like there. So they're like, come here, I'm gonna throw all my stuff at you because you're too happy and that bugs me. Or you're like, your aura is so pure, I'm just going to try to sneak attack on you.
They're trying to level the playing field, right? I watched a really cool, I don't even know what it was. It was a video though, but it was talking about children and their emotions. And people and adults do it too. So anytime like a child is freaking out at you, they're trying to get you to experience the emotions that they're experiencing. And that's exactly what every human does. When we, we're trying to get you, or they're trying to get you to feel the same emotions and that they're feeling. They don't recognize that they're doing it. It's a subconscious thing. But it's in that wiring of our reptilian brain. Like it's fucking part of our human evolution, but we're finally at a place where we can recognize it and work through it rather than just constantly reacting to it. Right? Like, have you ever, what project was it? It was some study. What they did is they had a big ladder and they had like 30 monkeys or some shit. And they put a banana at the top of the ladder. And anytime a monkey tried to get the banana, they would like shock the monkeys or something, right? And then eventually the monkeys were like, fuck that, I'm not going to get the banana. And then they would take out one of these monkeys and replace it with a new monkey. And the new monkey would try, and then all the other monkeys would stop this monkey from doing it because they're like, I don't want to get fucking shocked, right? And then eventually they kept replacing them over and over again until there wasn't a single monkey that ever got shocked. And they still wouldn't go up this ladder to get this fucking banana because it's been ingrained in them. They've done so many studies of it. I also saw another study where they had people in like a waiting room. Okay. And they started with 10 people, I think. And they all would like stand up for 2 minutes or something and then sit down. Okay. And then they would slowly introduce new people. And then all of a sudden at the end, none of those original people that were part of it were still there, but everyone else was still standing up when they thought they had to stand up. Because that's what society has ingrained in us. It's that reptilian brain. It's that if you are not part of the collective, you are not safe.
There's a lot of good stuff happening on the chat. Can I read some of it?
Yes, please.
Onyx. When will you level up? It's okay for people that are not ready, and we let them go with love and grace and remember that we were there one time. Yeah, we say that. Some people come in our life for a weekend, for a month, for a whole life, right? Like, Keith said he had to look for relationships that were more in alignment with my inner standing. I love it. Inner standing. It's true. Like as we level up, we can't expect others to level up at the same level, at the same speed. So at some point we have to be okay. And I think this is where this is one of the things that I love the most about Tibetan Buddhism. I studied a little bit, is that law of non-attachment. It doesn't mean you can't love. It just means it's okay to let go. It's okay to let go of the thing that you got stolen, and it's okay to let go of the friend that says that they don't agree with you and they think you're a white supremacist. Suddenly. I'm just paraphrasing from people who don't have, I'm not, but I was accused of one because I had different opinions than others. And at some point we just have to walk away. And like, I don't feel the need to express myself. I know my values and I know my truths. And at some point it's like, But I think that anyway, the traumatized me felt the need to always justify myself and defend myself and gives all my reasons. This is why. And it's like, now it's like, I don't owe you any reasons. So I'm just
I
going to
don't owe
ignore.
you shit.
Exactly. I don't owe you shit. No, I think that it's good to get to that place where non-attachment. Okay, let's see what else. Yum. We talk about the fear of being alone. Lots of us are embracing that solitude. What else? The monkeys. Yeah, I remember that video where people would stand up and stand up. I would be the one in the office going like, why are you standing up? Seriously,
Right?
stop standing up.
And that's the thing. We are no longer part of that. Like, we are able to step out of that reptilian brain and see everything.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the big difference between those that are awakening and those that are still asleep.
Yeah.
I used to call them blanket people because they would hide under the blanket and they would like freak the fuck out if you tried to lift it because they don't want to see what's on the other fucking side.
You know, that's interesting because not so long ago, I think yesterday, yeah, not so long ago. Yesterday, it was not so long ago. I just don't know time anymore. I did a little video about the frequency 432 versus 440. And because like the standard of the music industry, because the American Federation of Musicians back then decided to impose it, guess who was in charge? It starts with R and it finished with Eller. Family were imposing that because it was breaking the cycle of nature, right? And it was easy to get mind control. Through music, through mainstream music. And then I go and ask advice to a guitar teacher and says, I would never tell my students to tune in 432. That was his first answer. He didn't even ask why. He right away told me to never do that. Then I had from a music store in the city, I was asking advice for my electronic stuff. Right away, oh, you playing 432. And it's like there was like this disdain right away. And what came into my Zoom yesterday, not only the rabbit hole of the conspiracy, which is pretty real too, about why 440 happened, but also why do we need to convert to a standard? Why do we need to, what is the standard? Why do we, like, standard should be the freaking frequency of the universe.
The fucking standard? Who made the standard?
Can we make our own standard? Is it okay if I play in 437? My album was recorded in 438. Like, I'm just saying there's no standard. It's whatever you want it to be. But am I going to play in 440 because all the musicians in the world play in 440? Absolutely not. I create my own standard. The frequency of the universe is standardizing for me, but I feel it's more calm. It is an adjustment when your brain and your voice and everything has been in a certain frequency, but like through the history of music, people have been tuning in 444 and 528, and so many different tunings have been creative assets and creative tools for the artists to use as a medium. Frequency is a freaking medium. And we're all artists. When we work with frequency, we're frequency artists, and we need to embrace
this is frequency
that.
Too. Everything is.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, your emotions, your voice, everything is frequency, right? But it's always like, that's like one of the biggest shifts for me was when I started asking, like, who made up this standard and why? Right? Like, I feel like so many people go through life not asking these questions because it's easier just not to, and just to just follow along and do what we're told. Whereas I feel like every single one of us who are in this space, who are awakened, if we were put into any of these tests, we'd be like, fuck that. I'm not doing something because somebody else told me to do it. Like,
we're rebels. The rebels. Well, yeah. I don't want to say anarchists, because anarchist sometimes has a negative connotation, but like rebels will also has a negative connotation. But you can make whatever connotation you want, because I don't care. But we're rebels because we choose to question, you know, and I think that we also need to get there, and that takes that readiness, that awakening.
Yes, that awakening. And it helps when there are others around you that feel and think the same way and allow you to question.
But you need to get there also to attract those people, right? Yes. The higher we vibrate, the better quality, or the more aligned the relationships become.
Yes.
What a journey.
Right? It's a journey and a half, and it's never ending, guys.
Warriors. I love it. Gypsy Mama said we're warriors. We are in our own way, but we're peaceful warriors. You know, I'm not going to start shaming people for their choices. I'm not going to play
frequency warriors.
I love it. Someone needs to snag that handle.
Snag that shit up. Frequency
warriors. That handle. Frequency warriors. That's a great name for a band.
Right? Yes.
Oh no, I just made the sign. Oh no.
I know. I almost did it all. Or here too, whatever. Oh. The angel came out to play. You can tell, like, I have the black tourmaline is sitting between my legs, helping anchor us, and then the angelite is here too.
Alex said lower vibration frequencies are easier to manipulate and control. Yes, and this is why 440 came along. And Mr. H and his team of N's were very prone of using that, you know, and that says a lot about why we standardize the frequency of the world, because apparently at the beginning of the 20th century, France musicians were playing 432, Italian were playing it for 35, and decided to switch to 438 to make competition to so there was like a trend with the frequencies, and it's kind of like so random to talk about this now, but like at the time I imagine it must be different, because seriously, you listen to a song in 440 and you listen to the same song in 432 and your body feels differently. I mean, it's been scientifically proven that 432 music during night aids people sleep better. Like, they've done studies. So, you know, the magic, like when we say frequency is medicine, it totally is. And we totally changed the subject from the sister wound to the
I know, right?
medicine.
I think basically what we're trying to say as a sister wound is any time that we shrink ourselves and we try and walk on eggshells to please others, and when we are being inauthentic to ourselves, that's when we bring in those relationships that create and compound on these sister wounds that we as women have held forever, right? It's always about that need to be in community, that need to be safe, and getting pinpointed when you're alone, right? It's that fear. So let's do a release quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
We will do a release with the tourmaline because she's amazing. Of our fear of being alone, right? Our fear of not fitting in. So let's take 3 deep breaths. We'll sigh as we exhale. Last one. I release my fear of being alone. I release my fear of standing out from the crowd. I release my fear of being my true, authentic self. I release my fear of not being accepted by others. I release those deep held fears of not being a part of community, even to our detriment, of not being accepted by all those around us, by not being liked by those around us. And I release this because I am safe to be myself. I am safe to share my thoughts, opinions, and feelings with those around me. I am safe to express myself authentically. Because when I hold myself to this standard, and when I allow myself this space in my internal reality, when I allow myself this worth, to feel this worth, and I acknowledge my worth and that I deserve to be able to be authentically myself. When I do that, those that no longer resonate with me and where I am going will fall away effortlessly. And those that are meant to be in community with me, those that are meant to be my sisters, those that are meant to share this sacred space with me, will come flowing in effortlessly. Feels really good.
So good, Mama. I love our chats.
Right?
I feel like when something comes up, it's like, let's talk about this. It's like we're just bringing it to the table like sisters, right?
Yep.
It's like we don't need to talk in specifics. Well, sometimes we do, but sometimes we don't. And it's just about bringing it to the table and just taking accountability for what we can change, for where we are at, what we grew from, but also realize that non-attachment again. Like this beautiful mantra, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, is about accepting if our words, thoughts, and actions are pure and for the best good of humanity, then whatever, like if we're detached from the outcome of what happens and our actions are pure, then we have contributed to the harmony and the happiness of all. And that we don't have to have that attachment to but why is she not talking? Why is she ghosting me? Why is she? And I'm going to call it out, that victimization. I know that it triggers people when I call it out.
It's true, though.
I know that I was one victim. I was a pro victim. I was professional victim. And I had to like step out of it to really understand that I have responsibility also in my feelings, my emotions, my reactions, how much I dwell on shit, how much. And so like that detachment, that letting go, right? And saying, hey, I've talked with my heart, and it's like, now I can just walk away, you know, and that's my standards, that's my boundary, and that's where I'm at, you know? So I'm leaving you with this mantra. Maybe it's time to say goodbye. Hey. But
my husband's supposed to work in the morning. He has the baby because he won't sleep.
But because thank you so much for this release and this clearing and this beautiful affirmations, Danielle. It's just always so special and so powerful. And I want everyone to think about our actions as being pure and from the heart. And the mantra that I want you to leave with is Loka Samasta.
Loka Samasta.
Bhavantu. I can write it in the chat later.
Yes, please. Thank you so much, Goddess, for joining me for such an amazing chat from the heart. This is going to have to become a regular thing. Right? Thank you all for joining us in the chat. I'm so sorry I couldn't see you all. I hope to come on myself at some point this week. I have my mother-in-law visiting, so it's a little bit crazy here, but I'm going to start being more structured with my work time and setting aside that time for me to do what I do. Yeah. Thank you all for joining us so much. I'm going to pop in later, probably tomorrow now, because I'm going to get that babe to sleep, but I'm going to hop in and check out all the comments.
Thank you, Onyx. Thank you, Gypsy Mama, Keith, and Kieran's, who seem to have a conversation going between the two of them. So that's nice. There's also, who else would join us? Right now, that's who there is. So Gypsy Mama, Onyx, Keith, Kieran's. Thank you so much we had Ocean earlier too. Thank you so much for all of your input in the chat. I'm loving this beautiful community.
Sending you all so much love. Justin. And we will talk to you all later. Bye.